Come on up, I don't bite.
Who do you want?
You can sit wherever you, why don't you sit in the middle, and then Brad, because I know you guys like to argue a little bit, right? Here's your mic.
Not argue.
Discuss.
Discuss. I love it. I love it. What did you guys think of the movie? Okay, first of all, I want you to know that this film is up for the Harris Rincon Audience Award. So 1 through 5, you guys need to tear through whatever you think it should deserve, and we'll collect that out of 10 at the door. And we want to thank Hold It for providing us the lounge furniture for our Q&A. George and Brad, it's so good to see you. And it's so appropriate to have this film here because you have some deep San Diego ties and deep ties to our festival. We awarded George the Lifetime Achievement Award in 2007. This is like a year after you started Howard Stern.
Right.
Right? And before social media. I mean, we had no idea that you would be the social media king that you are today, right?
Royalty.
How many of you follow George on Twitter or Facebook? Okay, almost everybody here in the audience. Let's talk a little bit about the movie, because this was a 3-year project, correct? And to have cameras following the both of you for 3 years, that's a lot to ask for. And by the way, George and Brad have been together for 27 years, right? So tell us the genesis of how the director, Jennifer Crute, did you approach her? Did she approach you? How did this happen?
It was Jennifer that approached us. We didn't know her from, well, not Adam, but Eve. So, we were very gracious and being flattered to be asked to do a documentary, but we said we want to think on it a little bit. And we did some research on her. We found out that she has a film that she worked on before on 2 twin filmmakers, and it was sensational. And we looked at each other and said, she can visually tell a joke, and let's have her do this, because it's another opportunity for us to, we've been on a mission to fight for social justice. And here was an opportunity for us to do that, and to, whether it's LGBT people or Japanese Americans during the Second World War, it's always stereotypes that they're working from that puts us in difficult situations. And here's an opportunity to put a face, mine that they know, that many of them have been watching for years, and a new face, but one that...
Did you have to
That's your
convince
mother's
Brad?
hair.
Brad, everyone knows George, and your job, as we see, you're the businessman, and I'm sorry, you're a little bit mean, I'm a little scared of Brad.
He is very
Yeah. No, but you know what? That's why you are both a great couple, because you do the business, he's the good guy, right? But you're always behind the scenes, and in this case, when you entered into this documentary, you knew, and we heard on many occasions, like, oh my gosh, she's still filming this, that you were now, this is your real coming out, right? So to speak.
I think that the filmmakers were with us for 3 years of our lives, and we gave them complete editorial control over the final cut that you saw tonight, meaning if there were scenes that I didn't come off too well, I couldn't tell them to change up or to do a better scene that makes me looks better.
It was not a vanity project.
So for 3 years, you're so used to being on camera, right? And you are not, right? And here you are for 3 years, she's following you. How did that affect your relationship? And also, the difference between playing up for the camera, for camera's sake, versus being natural on camera. Because I felt like some of the most magical moments was just seeing you, the both of you, in your everyday life, right?
After a while, you tell yourself, well, after a while you get to know the cameraman, you get to know the sound man, Jennifer Crute, the director. They become kind of people that are in your environment all the time. So you do, it's a cliche, but you do sort of forget that the camera is there, and it allows you to act somewhat naturally. So I would say, truthfully, the film captured the truth of our relationship, but I hope...
Well, you might have noticed he was always conscious of the camera there. In that last barbershop scene, he's going out of the door saying, when is Jennifer going to call cut?
So, but did that ever hamper anything with your relationship? Or, I mean, I feel like you both had to agree to just kind of letting it all go for 3 straight years, you know?
I think the biggest area of my concern was the social media, because that was when it was exploding in popularity, and I didn't really want Jennifer to see how George creates his Facebook and Twitter success, because I thought it was like too much how the sausage is made. And so fortunately it came off okay in the film, but she could have made a cut of the film that would have been horribly demeaning to me. And she didn't.
No, you were charming. You were you.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because you have both become like the poster children or the poster pair, right, for marriage equality, LGBT, and I'm so surprised that you only came out in 2005, right? Even though you've been together for 27 years. And
Oh, I came out to him.
Well, right, clearly. So, I mean, and since then, it's very interesting because your career has gone like this since you came out. Was it because of the timing and just what's happening, you know, here in the United States? Do you feel as though that things would have changed if you came out sooner? Do you wish that you have come out sooner?
Well, I think most of the people here are very young, and they don't know the climate that I was young.
I heard somebody laugh out there when you said that.
Do I see some white hairs or shiny pates? They're of my generation, and it was a whole totally different climate. You know, everything was secret. You never let anything out. And particularly if I wanted a public career as an actor, forget it. I would not be able to work as an actor if I were out. I had to protect that opportunity to be cast. Because in my business, it's show business as well as performing arts. And they count the box office or the ratings. If the show doesn't have ratings, it doesn't survive. If a movie doesn't get the box office, it dies. And producers don't want to have anything that's going to affect the box office or the ratings. And if they know that an actor's gay, he won't be cast. So I had to protect my opportunity to be an actor. And so all during that time, I was involved in the civil rights movement, the African American struggle for equality, or the peace movement during the Vietnam War, or the redress and an apology for the unconstitutional incarceration of Japanese Americans. I was involved in issues, except for the one issue that was very personal, organic to me.
And that must have been suffocating for you.
It was, but you're living that life, and you get used to living that life with your guard up. And then the world started to change. You know, I used the metaphor when I first spoke to the press in 2005. It's like walking down a narrow, dark corridor, you know, and you feel very alone and very isolated. And then there's a little bit of light that comes in from a slightly ajar door. And then you walk further, and a little bit of light comes in from a window, and the corridor becomes wider. And as you continue walking, it becomes brighter and wider, and it's not like opening a door and suddenly stepping out. It just opens out, and you are out. And what brought me to come out was an event that I think all Californians know about. In 2005, there was marriage equality in Massachusetts. It came through the judicial route. That was the only state that had marriage equality. In California, there was an unprecedented thing. Both houses of our legislature, the Senate and the Assembly, passed the same-sex marriage bill. The first time that it happened through the legislative route. And all that was needed for that to become the law of the state was the governor's signature, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Who's a fellow actor.
A fellow actor. And when he campaigned for governor, he campaigned by saying, I'm from Hollywood. I've worked with gays and lesbians. Some of my best friends are. You know, all the cliches. And I thought, surely, if his best friends were gays or lesbians, he would sign it. But he was a Republican and with his base in the right wing. And he vetoed it. And that got my blood boiling. And I felt I needed to speak out. Brad and I discussed it. And we decided, yes, I will speak out. And for me to do that, my voice had to be authentic. And that's when I came out.
Good for you. Good for you. So, you mentioned blood boiling. So can we talk about William Shatner? Because I've seen this roast, and there's something that happens with your lips as you're talking to him. And, is the animosity and this tension between you two, is it real? Or is it drama? Okay? And then also you said that you gave Jennifer Crute carte blanche, right, for the film, but yet there was this really fun kind of homoerotic stuff that happened, you know, the artwork that happens, and I wondered, did you help propel that with William Shatner? I want to hear from you. Like, what's the deal?
Well, Bill is Bill. Though, if anybody knows Bill or been to a Star Trek convention and stood in line to get his autograph, you know what Bill is like. To work with him is very challenging. There are certain actors' etiquette. You know, when they're going to do a close-up on you, it's always part of the actor's etiquette for the other actor to stand beside the camera and do the dialogue. The actor knows the rhythm, the timbre of your voice, you know, rather than a script supervisor reading the lines. And we all do it for each other. There was one actor who didn't believe in that. He was a star, and he went back to his dressing room, and the script supervisor would read the line next to the camera if the close-up was on you. We all felt that way. I just happened to be more outspoken, and I called attention to it. But, you know, Bill is Bill, and he knows who he is. I know who I am. Jimmy Doohan was also outspoken. And at conventions, he railed about Bill's behavior on the set. And I wrote an autobiography in which I go into more detail on Mr. Shatner's behavior on the set.
I want to just add that the truth is, it's a 90-minute documentary on George Takei. When Bill Shatner was approached, he agreed to be in George's documentary. He signed the release form. And I think George should be grateful that he's in your documentary, because he could have easily said, I can't be bothered.
But I had to give him something, too. There was negotiation for that. And, oh! Naughty.
Bad.
What? Well, you said it. I heard
No,
you say
somebody
it.
said it. He was just repeating.
Oh.
Oh, he's just repeating. Don't get mad at him on that. one.
How can I?
We don't want
Isn't he charming?
Yes, he is super charming. Okay, so the other thing, so we talked about social media and how it propelled, right?
Oh, wait a minute. You talked about the roast.
Oh, the roast, yes,
Yes.
which was fabulous, so much fun to watch.
You know, at that time, I've been working with him for 40 years.
Yeah.
Not just the movies and the TV series, but Star Trek conventions. I had 40 years of material on him, and they gave me only 4 minutes. I could have done the whole night all by myself.
That'll be the documentary part 2, right? We will all be in line for that. But, you know, talking about, like, your relevance, and, you know, you started on television in the 1950s, and here we are, 2014, and you're a bigger star than you ever were before, right?
You're very flattering.
No, but it is the truth, right? And part of it is because of social media. But even before social media, there was Howard Stern, right? Do we have any Howard Stern fans in the audience?
Yes, there are.
Okay, a few. And Brad, you're a big Howard Stern fan, and he was not, right? And I read somewhere that you got George onto Howard Stern because you're a big fan, and he was is this a true story? He was in the green room listening to the show, and he asked them to change the channel because it was so disgusting, whatever he was hearing. And they said, George, this is the show that you're going to be on. Right? So can you talk about that whole connection with Howard Stern?
In a nutshell, George, going back to Playhouse 90 in the 1950s, always thought he was a serious, dramatic actor, but yet the casting agents, the marketplace, always thought George had this fantastic comic persona, but he always was suppressing it throughout his career. He just didn't like to go there, like those 2 Jerry Lewis movies that you saw clips of that were very stereotyped. I think that left a bad taste in his mouth about comedy. And finally, in recent years, I said, George, you got to go more for the comic quality that you have that the audience loves. And he went on Howard Stern, and they loved him. And Howard was a great career catalyst for George.
And I'm
Yes, but you know, Howard likes honesty, and I was honest on that show. But I paid the price for that when I got home.
But you continue to be on the show, and you're beloved by everybody. I mean, on that show, you have a lot of guests who are hated. Either they like you or they don't like you. But across the board, they love you, George, which speaks a lot to George and who he is, right? And the honesty.
It's wonderful to be loved.
Yes, it is. It's great to be loved. Let's talk a little quickly about Allegiance. And, we're so proud, right? That Allegiance started here in San Diego. I mean, who would have thought that there would be a musical about the internment experience, right? You helped make it happen, and there are some people here in the audience as well who have helped make that experience happen.
Wendy Gillespie.
Yes, Wendy
Very generous
Gillespie.
producer.
And Karen Katz,
Karen
right? Thank you so much. And it's going to Broadway. Started
We
here,
are
and it's
Broadway
going to
bound.
Broadway.
The world premiere was held here.
Yes, our world premiere was held here. We're going to Broadway.
But the New Yorkers call it the out-of-town tryout.
And it's really, really tough to get to Broadway, right? And thanks to Lorenzo Thione, who's working with you, you have set up, just so innovative, right? An innovative program to help bring the audience to Allegiance in New York. Can you talk about that real quickly?
Yes. You mentioned Lorenzo. He actually comes from the IT area. He started up a company in Austin, Texas, and sold it to Microsoft for millions of dollars. But he's an entrepreneur. He comes up with ideas. He thinks out of the box. We're in line for a theater on Broadway, and so we can't sell tickets. But we're all eager to, and there are many people out there who are eager to see Allegiance. So Lorenzo came up with the idea of selling an access to tickets before we can sell to the public. We call it the Allegiance Priority Access Pass, APAP. What that means is, we're not selling tickets to the public yet. However, for $5, you can get a place in line for 2 tickets any night or matinee at any price in any section in the theater before the tickets go on sale. Now, you might, if you're the first one for that particular evening, you have the first access. If there are others that come, they stand behind you. But you've got a leg up on all potential ticket buyers when the tickets actually go on sale at the theater. And so what that does is assure those that really want to see the theater, to the play, that they're going to be able to see it. Because here in San Diego, many people were disappointed. We had a sold-out run. So you eliminate that. But number 2, when it becomes a sold-out run, producers like Lorenzo will up the price of the ticket. But you are assured of the going original price.
For only $5.
$5.
Right.
And you get access to 2 seats.
Fabulous.
And what that does for the production is we have seats that are sold before the tickets go on sale to the public. So with that, we are ensuring our prospect of getting a sold-out run. So it's a win-win-win situation. And Lorenzo is a very good entrepreneur.
He is. And how do we get onto the list?
AllegianceMusical.com. You go to that, and you can click on to APAP, Allegiance Priority Access Pass, and buy your $5 access pass.
That's wonderful. Great reason to go to New York, right?
Give yourself a vacation, a fall vacation in New York, and
Yes.
top it off with Allegiance, the hit of Broadway.
Yeah. And we're projecting the fall. Like, are you talking September, October?
Well, you know, how it happens is there are a few weak productions that are stumbling right now, but they will hang on until the Tony nominations come out. And if they've made it to a nomination, they will hang in there. If they didn't, they're going to give up the ghost and they're going to close.
And that's when you swoop in.
We're like vultures perched on Times Square building, looking down at the weak ones. Oh, there's one that's stumbling. Oh, there's another one that looks a little trembly. And when they die, we swoop in and take over their nest.
Right on.
It's a cutthroat business.
It is a cutthroat business. Just like I saw when Brad, the closing, towards the end of the movie, you see on opening night, Brad criticizing, right? Criticizing, you missed those lines, But I think that's partially because you must be one of George's biggest fans. I mean, truly.
And the toughest critic.
Yeah, truly.
And I get notes from the director after a performance, but when I go home, I get my second set of notes.
Oh, yeah, right. He's a tough guy.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I'm a pretty lucky human being to live with George Takei. And I do love him. I do.
I mean, but would you consider yourself as his biggest fan, and because of that, you do what you do?
Is there a camera on me right now? I am his biggest fan.
Yes.
No, I am.
And it shows. It shows.
But I'm also...
Through
You
tough
better
love.
I also admire him for the life that he's led, the obstacles he's overcome, what he gives back, and he's a teacher. He's a college professor type personality, but he's taught me so much about life, and I'm so glad that we have this 90-minute documentary so that not just me, but the rest of America can see a little bit of what makes George Takei tick.
And Brad Takei.
Yeah, right. I'm going to open it up to the audience, and I'm sorry I can't see you very well, so you're going to have to raise your hand. Okay, I have one right here.
I want to try and keep it short. So, How did you attain and keep the optimistic views that you have, and how have you dealt with breakdowns? And also, thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate it.
Well, it's my beliefs that pessimists don't get anything done. They're defeated before they begin. You know, oh, I can't do that, or that's too heavy, or that's too far. I think the optimists are the ones who see the possibilities and get things done. I think my grandmother was very much that. And I learned from her that optimism gets things done, pessimism doesn't get things done. And I'd much rather be optimistic about things. And I do think that seeing the world optimistically has made our lives richer and that much more fulfilling.
Okay, I don't have a question, but I just want to say that I went to see Allegiance and it was really good. I had at the Oak Globe, and I loved it so much I just had to go back to see it a second time.
Aww.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Well, then
Alice.
you'll have to plan on a vacation to New York to see it for a third time.
Thank
And
you,
it's a
Alice.
different play now. I mean, it's the basic structure is still there, but there are many significant changes that have been made. New numbers, new songs, new scenes, and new actors too. Come to New York.
Okay, we have a question over here, Joe.
There was a lot of laughter going on with the comedy roast. All I got was the FU. Could you give us the rest of the sentence? For William Shatner's roast.
You weren't listening closely enough. I heard it.
No, but there was so much laughter going on, I couldn't hear the rest of it.
Well, you know, he makes his entrance to that show on a horse. Do you remember that? Oh, it's not? Oh, well, those that saw the roast on TV, on Comedy Central. He makes his entrance on a horse, and then he gets on stage. So when I ended mine, I said, "Fuck you and the horse you rode in on."
Documentary.
What?
You said you negotiated. You had to give him something to get in the documentary. What did you give Bill?
I'll tell you guys, I'll give you an exclusive. Nobody knows this. At the same time that we were asking Bill to go on camera for George's documentary, Bill was doing his road show, one-man show, and he wanted to use the clip of George saying that from the Comedy Central roast, and so it was tit for tat. We gave him permission to use that clip in his one-man show if he would do an on-camera interview for the documentary.
Okay, one last question
He
over
wouldn't
here.
do it if he didn't want something from me. All my other friends did it out of friendship.
George, my question is to you first.
Where are you?
I'm over here.
Oh, there you are.
Anyway, no, my question's to Brad, but first I wanted to say thank you, George, for letting us see this film. It gives me a really profound insight as to what my husband does in the community. And the question I have for Brad is do you sometimes wish you could get off the merry-go-round just so you and George can have some downtime and reconnect?
You know, 10 years ago I thought, I'm 60 years old, George is turning 77 in a couple days. I thought by now we would be doing those cruises that we hear about. But, you know, George's passion is the musical Allegiance. His passion is making sure there's social justice in America. And the marketplace, the American marketplace has decided that George is hot. And so we're using that high visibility platform that the marketplace has given him for us to advance the goals of things that are important to us in life. And ironically, at the end of July, we are doing a cruise on the Queen Mary 2 from New York to Southampton, England, because we're going to be screening To Be Takei, and it'll be the official premiere, transatlantic premiere of To Be Takei. And Cunard Lines is giving us the cruise for free.
You got a good man there, George.
You know who negotiated that.
He's always working it. He is always working it.
See, he wanted the cruise, so he got me to work for it.
I love it. Okay, where are those surveys? Let's pull those out. And while we're doing that, just again wanted to thank again the Japanese American Citizens League for underwriting this film. Thank you, JACL. Thank you, Hold It. And thanks to George and Brad. And by the way, this movie has been picked up by Stars. It will be coming out theatrically in August, so tell all of your friends. Thank you.